Perfect. Well, Brooke, thank you for joining me today. I appreciate you taking the time.
Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. Like we were talking just a second ago, this is the, I believe, 22nd video in a set of videos where our goal is to establish a question. I've been asking people on mini tours, high level amateurs, for years is what's the difference, right? So it's kind of a fact finding mission for those golfers out there who want to elevate their game to the next level, whether it's a sophomore in high school who wants to play Division I golf, a scratch that wants to get to plus, or a mini tour player who's really close and just trying to get to that next level. So we're trying to get some nuggets out of this series to help those people. So as we kind of get started here, I'd love to hear just a little bit about your story, where you are, kind of where you're playing, and then what you're hoping to do here coming up soon.
Okay. Yeah, so I started playing golf when I was pretty young. I was 9 years old when I played my first tournament. I was lucky enough that both my parents played, so they gave me a little guidance, but I feel like golf is such a self-taught thing, and you got to take what people give you and then work with it, I guess. And throughout middle school and high school, I played a bunch of different sports, but ultimately realized that golf was going to give me the most opportunities, and it helped that I felt like I was most competitive.
Yeah, that helps too.
So I was like, okay, this is my best shot. So I really started focusing in on solely on golf probably my freshman year of high school, just figuring out how to improve. I had a really cool moment playing with the number one amateur in the world, was Rose Zhang at the time. I played with
I
her.
guess she's okay. She's
Yeah,
decent.
she's pretty good.
She's decent.
When I got to play with her, I realized I played with her at the PGA Girls at St. Albans Country Club, my home course, in between my
How old were you?
after 8th grade into my freshman year of high school.
Okay.
She ended up winning, and I ended up missing the cut. But I played with her the first 2 days, and I was amazed. It was such an eye-opening experience to how good players shoot under par, especially on a course I play every day. So I was like, boom, I can try to figure that out. So, um, you know, that was such a cool experience. And then I got more into it. I played high school golf all 4 years, but where I got my best, I would say, is like other amateur events, playing AJGA tournaments. You're playing against the top girls in the entire country, and then also sometimes they're internationals and that. And I guess just I've experienced like the exposure of people playing with people that I don't know and that are better than me have pushed me to be better. And then in college, I'm a senior now at Michigan State. We can get into how it's so cold here and how we still compete with some of the best teams in the country, but
Yeah.
it's been a great 4 years. I feel like I've grown. There's been times where you're like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm at a plateau right now, even though I'm working hard. But there's times that you grow and then you realize like your work is all worth it. So that was a quick little recap.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. It's also worth noting for the people who care about WAGR out there. Brooke is inside the top 150 in WAGR, which is an incredible accomplishment for anybody who, I mean, honestly, just to even get ranked in WAGR is difficult, and then to be inside the top 150 players in the world is pretty impressive. So yeah, let's dive into what you're doing there at Michigan State, and I'd actually like to sit quickly on maybe even some plateaus and things that you did to kind of break through those, because I think for us as golfers it can be a little disheartening sometimes whenever you are in plateaus, especially because can be such a solo and lonely game. So maybe talk a little bit about just your practice and kind of what you guys do differently up there at Michigan State.
Yeah. So going into college golf, I was a seventh ranked junior in the country. So that was on the Rolex ranking. So that's against all the top, I guess, international and U.S. citizens. So I had high expectations for myself, but if I'm being honest, I did not accomplish everything I wanted to in my freshman year. But like that was such a learning experience of how different life is being a college student, being more independent, having to juggle school along with golf. And so that was an experience that was by no means like the best, but it also was it pushed me to where I am now, I feel like. So, but my 4 years here, I came here because my coach has a culture. She's been here for many, many years. There's only been two head coaches here, and she's one of the two, of
Is
course.
that right? There's only been two? Wow, I didn't know that.
And when you come here, you just realize that Michigan State is a family and that there's women's golf, there's an expectation of winning and becoming, pushing all of each other and our team to be, the best we can be. So just being surrounded by that every day made me realize that, although it might not be what I want it right now, there's still plenty of time to improve and plenty of time to get better. And so but I'd say that like being in the cold, it was definitely not ideal. There's still snow up here on the ground.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's not great, but we have great facilities. We have an amazing support system of donors where we fly all over the country and play against the top teams in the country, and that just allows us to have compete with the top girls and then also have a very good ranking.
Yeah. Yeah, so a lot of my listeners are based in colder climates. Even St. Louis at times can be a little bit cold. Maybe if you want to get a little bit into the weeds for those who have, now we're getting out of the simulators, but people have been living in simulators, maybe a little bit in the weeds of what you do for winter practice for simulators and indoors up there.
Yeah. So that was definitely an adjustment too. I mean, St. Louis is cold, but I was used to going out there in freezing cold temperatures because there was no snow and I'd still practice every day after school. St. Albans would be very nice and leave a bucket of golf balls out for me on the range and I just go practice. So can't do that here. It's like usually freezing. So we have very nice facilities. We have a big dome with a chipping and putting green, turf, and then we have 4 TrackMan bays and then 3 outdoor hitting bays with heaters on the top. So by no means is that perfect conditions, but we have everything you really need for an everyday practice session. Then I wanted to go to a place that had plenty of, I guess, money to
Fair. It's
a
important.
women's golf team.
Yeah.
And my coach has been amazing at fundraising money. So most of the time we're flying private to go on weekend trips, playing top 100 courses, competing against matches against other, top 25 teams to get ready for the, next week's tournament. So
Yeah. Sounds like a rough life.
I know I'm gonna miss it. So yeah.
Yeah, I would say that sounds like a pretty sweet life,
It
especially being able
is.
to play all those courses. What's a course that, you know, is either your favorite or like maybe a hidden gem or that you've
Oh,
played?
that's hard.
Yeah.
I did the math last year, and my coach loved this stat. I think we played like 35 top 100 courses within my 3 years here.
Ah, that's so
I
much.
don't know. I really liked, um, I like Southern Hills, where I played the USAM. It was such a good test to golf. I like our first tournament of the fall is American Dunes, and it's on Golf Channel, and it's a really amazing course and has a really cool background where they honor fallen soldiers there.
That's cool. Yeah.
And the Folds of Honor sponsors it, which is pretty cool. I don't know. That's a tough question. I don't know. We'll see.
What do you have to do? This is just my own ignorance. What do you have to do to get in the Augusta National Women's Am? Like, are you close?
Okay, well, so you have to be in the top 30 Americans.
Top 30, okay.
The deadline was on it when the new year began,
Okay.
2025. So I
Yeah.
ended up missing it by a couple people, which was pretty heartbreaking.
Yeah, I would imagine. I
I
mean,
had a, I pushed it pretty hard in the fall. I had a pretty good fall. I didn't finish outside the top 11th in any of our tournaments. So I was so close, which was it's okay. But it's golf. It's one tournament. It's an amazing tournament, but that's life. So it just makes you work harder.
yeah, yeah, no, I think that's awesome. Obviously, you've had a great deal of success. You won the Missouri Amateur last year. I mean, maybe take us back through that a little bit. I know the golf course wasn't in as incredible shape as it generally would be. and then maybe just kind of take us through that week, and if anything was special that week, or if it was just a very kind of ho hum week for you, and you just played solid. Maybe tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I guess what I was talking about before is when you hit like plateaus and you realize, gosh, I feel like I'm playing well and it's not showing, or I feel like I'm in position to win and I'm not making it. So my 2020, or my junior year, basically, I guess I'll say, of college, I was leading going into the third round at least 5 times, and I didn't. I only won once. So that can
That's
be really
pain. That's
frustrating.
pain.
And you realize, like, yeah, you don't win all the time, but when you put yourself in position, you're like, gosh, I'm so close. And then I also feel like I could have been improving a little more, and I wasn't. It wasn't showing. So I came back from school junior year just a little sort of, I guess, bummed out. And I was like, I can do better than this. I'm so close, and it just sometimes golf can be so frustrating. But I went home and I worked really hard. I was able to work really hard with my dad on my putting and just like my mentality and just of making golf fun again. And so we went down. My coach, actually, Rob Sidorsic, is down in Springfield, and he's been coaching me since I was 7 years old. So we have a long history.
Rob's the man. Shout out
Yes,
Rob.
he is.
Rob's the man.
So I went down there, got a quick lesson, and then we started the tournament at Hickory Hills. And my whole mentality that entire week was just to have fun.
Really.
Opportunities, putts will present themselves. Birdies may fall, may not, but like just relax out there and have fun, because that's, I feel like, when you do your best. So I also feel like that it was a great opportunity if you win that to qualify for the U.S. Women's Amateur. So that was also on the line, but I tried not to even think
That
about
was the
that.
first time. So for those that don't know, too, at least for the guys, that was the first time they offered that. It was the first time for you, for women as well, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. The winning that was, I feel like a big breakthrough and allowed my confidence to just like, I don't know, come back, and there was great competition there. The women's field has an open field, so there was girl from upstate, that was from Arkansas, there was a girl from California. So it's like it was a tough win, but it allowed me just to feel like my confidence come back, I guess.
I think that's really interesting that you say the goal was just kind of to have fun. That's something for me personally. Like I've been going through in my own golf journey as of late. Like I think sometimes we can get so, especially as competitive golfers, and we care so much. Like you can get so stuck into the grind of it that you forget like you're playing a game. Like we're doing something that like people pay to do. Like we're paying to do this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we're paying to do this, and yet we're like so miserable when we're playing a tournament or playing bad. It's like, man, like just have fun with it. And I think that's really awesome that was kind of your, you know,
My dad
breakthrough, and then you're able to carry that over. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
my dad worked really hard, I guess, just trying to convince me about how much fun I used to have as a kid out there, and
Yeah.
how much fun I'd love to go just get dropped off and go practice for hours and stuff. He was like, "What happened there?" I'm like, expectations, and expectations just get in the way a lot of times of your happiness.
Do you still feel like you have those expectations, or like is it kind of
Yes.
since
I
that like
by no means have perfected my emotions or my expectations or goals, but I try to be more mindful, I guess, of staying in the moment and realizing what is really important in life, and knowing, also reminding yourself of you do have talent and you have put in lots of hours of work. So remembering that can also be, it sets you back onto what you should be thinking, I guess.
totally? And I think another big thing, at least for me, this has been like a real big struggle, and a lot of golfers, like great players that I've talked to, like separating the score from like your own identity. Like, because I think a lot of times, at least for me, like I just feel so terrible about myself if I play bad. Or like the flip side, like if I play great, like I'd feel like I'm the greatest person ever. And it's like that's just such a I mean, it's golf is a game like this that you just can't be doing that. Like it's
Hmm.
so detrimental to your own like self-worth and happiness to be like, "Oh, if I play great, I'm a great person. If I play bad, I'm a bad person."
Yeah,
Like
it is.
so bad.
I agree. Yeah.
So, getting on the topic of mental, do you do any sort of meditation or mental work away from the golf course, or
Oh, not really. That's one thing I've figured out about myself is that when you're on a team with 10 girls, girls are gonna be doing 10 different things usually. So you don't need to follow in the footsteps of someone meditating because it's working for them. So I had to really like learn that. I have seen a mental coach before and he was helpful. However, there is a certain point where you do have to figure it out yourself. You got to sort of dig around and find what works best for you. So that I learned that the hard way, I think, but I it's the way it is. And also, sometimes it's really easy to slip out of what was working for you like a year ago and forget about it. And then you start trying to do some crazy other new thing. And it's like, it doesn't really work that way, you know? So you just gotta like, that's what I've learned here is like, stick with what works. I'm not an analytical person. I'm pretty much like black and white. Like, this is how I feel. This is what I felt on the course. Like, even looking at TrackMan numbers was like mind blowing to me freshman year because I did not know what I was looking at. So, I don't know. You just gotta know yourself.
Yeah, no, I think that's cool. I mean, it's literally what we were talking about a little bit before the show, where it's like, the goal of this project was to try and figure out what works and what's the difference. And it's
Hmm.
come down to you just gotta figure it out yourself. And,
Yeah.
there are certain things that are important, but it ultimately kind of ends up being like you just need to kind of figure it out yourself.
Yeah.
On that, I mean, what do you think sort of separates you from either, other players at your level, or like what are your differentiating factors on, what makes Brooke on the golf course?
I don't know. I've always been pretty hard headed.
Okay.
I don't know. I've always been like pretty intense, I guess. I feel like my parents are always like, Brooke, you have like flip a switch and you're like
Just a bulldog.
but I mean, I'm just very competitive and I hate to lose. And I I guess you also like, I've just been surrounded by people my entire life that have pushed themselves hard, whether it's my parents or my teammates or my friends. So, like, I feel like surrounding myself with people like that have just like all about your environment you put yourself in. I don't know what else to say about myself. Basically, I love to compete. I love the feeling of being close to, winning or improving or like finally like getting beyond shooting a certain score and being able to like completely like lock in and like shoot a score like you never knew you could physically do.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah.
like that. I don't know.
No, I think that's good. I mean, it's just like everything. Everybody has to kind of have their thing, and I mean, I feel like that's kind of why we play competitive golf. Like, there's no better feeling than like you can't feel your hands and you pull off
A
a shot.
shot.
It's so sick. Like, it's just so sick. Like, I'm sure you have, maybe you haven't because you're so good, but like we've all experienced times when that shot doesn't come off, so we really
Gosh,
appreciate it
yeah.
when it comes off, and it's just so sick.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah, cool. So maybe we'll
I'm trying to
talk
do
a
my
little bit in terms of kind of goals, aspirations. I mean, do you have intention to keep playing after college? What is your thought there?
Yeah, so I've always wanted to turn professional and like give it a run and see. After my sophomore year, I got an exemption to play in the LPGA Meyer event, which was now and even then like such an amazing opportunity to see how the top players in the entire world how they handle life every single week on the road, playing, competing, So that was pretty cool getting to do that, and it made me just realize like how badly I do want to try it and give it my all. I think it's really a cool life. It's a very difficult life, and I am understanding that I understand that there's like several challenges that come with it. Being lonely on the road, if you
It's
don't
different.
don't make a cut, it's hard. I fully understand. Well, I don't know if I fully understand it, but I try to. But I think that all these hours I've put in, how much I do love the game, not giving myself a chance to compete at like the ultimate highest level would something I would regret my entire life. So
100%. Yeah, 100%. No, I think that's awesome. So for you, will you then go to Q school? Is Q school in the fall
Yeah.
for you guys also?
So I'm planning on remaining an amateur through the summer and playing
Okay.
in the best amateur events I can.
Yep.
And then I will go to Q school. So,
Okay.
yeah.
With, I would assume, how does Q school work for you guys? So for us, it's like pre-qual, first stage, second stage,
Yeah.
final.
So we don't know. We have, I think it's new this year, so don't take my word on this, but I'm pretty sure it's three different sites this year. Same qualifying standards and everything to
Yeah.
get in, but that's stage one. And then three stages. Of course, as you know, like the higher you finish, the more status you'll
Better
get.
status, yeah.
Yes. So, and I've had teammates. I actually have had one teammate finish third in Q school in the last stage. So she got full status on the LPGA. And getting her perspective on it has been pretty good. But with that, she also has faced some challenges. So learning from those, I guess, has been good.
Yeah, no, I think that's great to be able to have that sort of background and expertise. For you as you're prepping and you obviously been around so many great players, like what do you feel like? Do you feel like it's going to be more of the same for you in terms of like getting to the next level, or do you feel like there's certain areas that you are, I don't want to say lacking, but like can continue to improve, or is it just stay the
Yeah.
course and
Well, I always think you can always improve. I've by
of
no
course,
means perfected the
yeah,
game of golf, and I don't know if anyone has, but I feel like,
maybe Scotty Scheffler
yeah,
lately.
like he wants to help me out. But I feel like I've gained a lot of distance in college because we work out pretty hard, and I've used the swings. But I always think I could gain some yardage, and we go through
What
our
kind of club head speed do you have?
nothing crazy, I will say. I'm one of the shortest ones on my team. I think it's like 98,
Okay, yeah, sure.
but I'm not a numbers person, so don't take my word for that.
I mean, that's right around LPGA average, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So I've gained a good amount of yardage. I think it always comes down to short game though. We look at our stats a good amount, and my coaches and I look at our stats, and being able to compare myself to like the top PGA player and also the top LPGA player has been helpful. Ball striking is in the top percentile compared to them. The amount of greens I hit and everything, and proximity to the hole and stuff. So it's definitely converting putts, which I've improved on, but I also know that there's lots more putts that can drop and a lot more up and downs and stuff like that. But course management, things like that. It's just like I was talking to my assistant coach today. She played on the LPGA as well. She's from Spain. She played at Auburn. And Patty was going through my stats with me, and she's like, there's no flashing red flag that is like, this is 100% going to change everything. She's like, it's just like tiny little incremental changes. A putt drops here, a putt drops there. You're making up shots here, so
What
I'd
was
say,
your scrambling percentage for my own curiosity? Because I just looked at
oh,
mine the other day.
scrambling?
Yeah.
It's okay. So she explains to me because I'm like, well, I feel like I get up and down most of the time. But she was saying that usually in a round I'll hit anywhere from like 14 to 16 greens.
Yeah.
And so your percentage is it's going to look worse because you have less of a chance if you're getting up and down missing 8 greens, your percentage is going to look better if you're getting up and down like so. So, oh gosh, I have my paper in my car. I think it's like 46% or
Okay.
something, but
Yeah.
I feel like I'm better than that. But I don't know. So I'll have to look. I could confirm with you another time. Um, yeah, just things like that. So I always feel like need to improve my short game and putting and converting shots and distance.
To- totally. No, that makes sense. I only asked because I was just looking at mine. I was going through it with my coach,
Mm-hmm.
and I think my scoring average last year was like 72 or 72 and a half, and I had 40% scrambling. And he goes, "That is atrocious for me because I hit like 12 greens around. I don't hit like 14 or 16 like you."
Yeah.
And he goes, "That is just like atrocious. Like you can't
Mm-hmm.
play at a high level and do that." And so like short game for me is going to be like a really important thing this year. That was That was why I was just
Yeah,
curious.
short game. Well, I know. I always feel like it's like that one up and down. You're like, oh, that was that was. I don't know. So,
So much momentum too
oh
in
yeah,
getting the up and downs. Like
yeah.
you make that like 7 foot slider, it's just like boom.
Yeah, it's like when you watch PGA or LPGA, the commentators are always like, sometimes it's not even the birdie that makes the person win. It's that momentum they get off of an amazing par save that like they just take throughout the entire round. So
Yeah,
yeah,
I totally agree with that. What do you guys do in terms of gym work?
yeah, we work out right now. We're working out 4 days a week, every day but Wednesday. So Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. We have a trainer. He's TPI certified. However, I wouldn't necessarily say we train like golfers. We squat, we bench, we deadlift. We do a lot of stuff like that, but we also do a ton of like core and mobility, I guess. The first 30 minutes is sort of squatting and benching, and then the next is like abs, mobility, and we for some reason do cardio, which I'm like not the biggest fan of, but
You
we
do
do
enough
that.
cardio walking all the time on the course.
I guess my whole, and this is, I guess totally understand why we do it. It's my coach's way of making us mentally tough.
Cardio?
The things we do is we run the entire stadium of the Munn Ice Hockey Arena. We ran one time the Michigan State Football Stadium, which holds an amazing amount
Wow,
of
that was
people.
probably
So
terrible.
things like that. So and she always reminds us, like when you're lifting, and also my coaches, they work out with us. So
That's
my
nice.
coach is in her 50s and she's lifting as much as me. So she pushes us every single day to be our best. She tells us like, if that last rep, if you're not about to fail, you're not doing it right. So
Sounds like a
then
baller.
she is. She
Yeah.
is. She has like she has like two less Big Ten wins than is Tom Izzo, which is a Hall of Fame, just amazing basketball coach here at Michigan State. So she pushes us every single day, and it's been really amazing to be surrounded by her.
Yeah. Yeah. So here's one for you that I kind of have a running theory on that I'm curious about. Which one do you think is more important? Making birdies or avoiding bogeys?
Okay. Well, women's golf is so different than men. I feel like the men, when I play with the guys on our team, they're all over the place and somehow like get in the hole. And I'm like, wait, you were just over like three fairways. Um, so it's definitely different. I have a very unique, different kind of game than some other girls, but I usually am leading or in the top five of like leading the field with pars throughout every tournament. So to me, I'd say it's about limiting the bogeys, I guess, because I'm not one to like usually like go off and like have like crazy amount of birdies, but it's like if I limit my bogeys, I'm going to be shooting under par. So I guess limiting bogeys, and like I think that is where amateur golfers could really improve. Is a lot of times they're sloppy bogeys, and like they're like rounds that could have gone from 75 to 72 or from sloppy bogeys. So, but like maybe at a pro level, it's all about the birdies. I don't know. So,
No, so it's interesting. I am like someone I've realized that I need to limit bogeys. Like I'm a great four ball partner because I'll make 7 birdies and shoot even par. And it's like, but the thing that I found really interesting, so Scott Fawcett from Decade Golf was my first ever guest,
I
and he talked about this, and then I like did the research into it, and I went back like almost every year until 2000, and like the top 5 in bogey avoidance were like basically the top 5 or top 7 on the money list almost every single year. Like Tiger, and believe it or not, Phil Mickelson was like up there almost every year. And I was really surprised to see Phil Mickelson up there because like he notoriously hits it freaking everywhere.
yeah,
And like this year, number 1 and 2 were Scotty Scheffler and Xander Schauffele. So
that's very interesting.
yeah, it's really made me think about like, huh, it wasn't, Rory was up there, but like it wasn't like he was. So I just thought it was really interesting that the number 1 and number 2 player in the world are also the best 2 players in the world at
Yeah,
avoiding bogeys.
that
So
would that is an interesting stat that I didn't think about. It makes sense though. Yeah, it does make sense.
I mean, I think obviously like the men's and women's games are different. Like I think you guys have a little bit of a more precision, and we just like bomb and gouge it. Like it's they're kind of two different games, but like I mean I think I think it applies on both areas, honestly.
I would agree with that for sure.
Well, as we're kind of wrapping up here, if you had one piece of advice for, maybe a girl or a junior out there who was wanting to play at your level, what would you recommend that they do, either on a daily basis, weekly, yearly, anything?
Yeah, I'd say, if you want to play Division 1 college golf, you have to reach out to coaches and maybe put yourself in uncomfortable situations, but calling coaches, emailing them, more than an email, you should call them until they pick up, basically. That's a step, but also like exposing yourself to people that are better than you outside of St. Louis or anywhere. So doing that, I'd say, what else? I don't know. Practice a ton. Even if you don't have a fancy stat system, which I never did my stat system on an app until I got to college. Write down your stats. Write down how many fairways, how many greens, how many putts. How many putts did you leave short? That's a huge one. So doing that, you don't have to spend a ton of money, on a fancy coach or a fancy stat system to get a result. A lot of times you can like slowly get better, but it has to be like come within. And also just you know try to play. I think that what helped me the most is playing a lot by myself and just like stopping on a hole and chipping for like 30. I don't know if you can always do that on every course, but stopping and chipping and just having like 5 balls and going into like every scenario you possibly could be in. That's how you improve your short game and stuff like that. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome. I think that's all great advice. I mean, so I had James Nicholas on here who plays on the Corn Ferry Tour, and he said something similar, and his big thing was, 120 players or whatever get to play at the top schools, and he goes, and if you think that there are 120 players out there that are working harder than you, why are you trying to play at that level? You know what I mean? So like his big
That's
thing was
great.
just hard work and dedication will kind of get you there. So, yeah,
Hmm.
very very similar thing. Yeah, cool. Brooke, I appreciate the time today. We'll probably go ahead
Thank you.
and wrap it up there, but I appreciate you taking the time, and I hope you have a good rest of your season.
Thank you so much. Thanks for
Of
having me.
course. Yeah, definitely. Thanks.